Now, can you believe it's been 50 years since we put a man on the moon? Now, the Aurora History Museum is honoring this historic event with the exhibit One Small Step 50 Years Later. Karen visited with the exhibit's curator to get a look at how Aurora is celebrating this amazing achievement.
Well, I'm here at the Aurora History Museum for a really unique exhibition focusing on the Apollo 11 moon landing. And with me is Christopher Shackelford.
Yes.
And he is the exhibit's curator with the museum. So welcome. And first of all, tell us why you decided to put this together.
Well, the anniversary, obviously, 50 years since we landed on the moon with the Apollo 11, which was a generational and American-defining moment. And it really is incredible in that short amount of time how much had changed. If you think of 1909, 1908, we got the Model T and the Wright brother flight, and only a short period later, we're landing on another planet. And thinking about how significant those anniversaries are to recognize in our community. And it's not just a Colorado story, it's not just a Aurora story, it's a worldwide story. So we're very happy to tell it and share it with our citizens.
And tell us about the exhibit that we're in right now, the exhibition room. I know we got the moon landing right behind us, right?
Right. So we retrofitted a 1964 television set, something very similar. Someone may very well have been watching the moon landing on in 1969 when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin took their famous steps.
Armstrong is on the moon. Neil Armstrong.
And we decided to kind of have a video rolling through to give people an impression of what that's like, because a part of the story isn't always the astronauts, which is an incredible story in its own right, but for the individuals back home watching, you know, this was a collective community experience.
Why do you think people were so fascinated with space back then? And I know now even we were hearing about space travel, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, they all want to go to space.
Right.
Why was there such a fascination then, and why does that continue on today?
This is a humanity thing. Our ancestors, some of the earliest documented pieces of history is the stars and mapping of the stars. And a lot of the early religions in our society like assigned deities to our celestial neighbors. And so when we had the technology in the 20th century to reach out and explore new worlds, explore space for the first time, we did it, you know, and we overcame it. And the political aspect of the space race with the Soviet Union obviously plays a role, but we've continued that tradition. Humans are adventurous. We want to explore. And so I think if we can move forward and learn more from our neighbors abroad, outside of this body we call Earth, that's really exciting. When putting together an exhibit for the public, you want to get as much information in as you possibly can. And there's so many different unique things. Two anecdotes that jump to my mind is a man named Eugene Cernan. He was the commander of Apollo 10, and he came within only miles of the lunar surface. And he was laying the groundwork for Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong to take those steps. But then Apollo 17, he ends up being the last man, the last human being to step on the moon. You know, he really pioneered his way and then ended up wrapping it up in a bow. It's really good symmetry in my brain. A second story would be a Colorado connection with Jack Swigert, who on Apollo 13 unfortunately wasn't able to land on the moon due to an oxygen explosion in the LEM. But he ended up coming back and running for Congress here in Colorado, here in the 6th District, which is Aurora's district, and being the first elected individual to the U.S. Congress from this district. And unfortunately, he passed away before taking office, but it's still a really interesting story I learned along the way.
And right here in Aurora, too,
Exactly.
so there's that connection.
Right.
So what's the relevant, or, you know, the impact of Apollo 11 today when we look back?
So many traditions of technology, of accomplishment, of overcoming the odds. It's really an American story, and I think in our current society we can look at these individuals, not just the astronauts themselves, but the people who made it happen, the scientists who laid the groundwork for the rockets to take off, and the people who made sure everybody was safe, and the health professionals, etc. All the thousands of people it took is such an accomplishment and inspiring. I look back at this story and I'm truly inspired, and I hope the people who visit the Aurora History Museum are inspired as well.
Well, getting on that point, what can people experience when they do walk in through this exhibit and see the photos?
We are a free museum. We're a public resource for people to come and learn about such an important moment in American history and Colorado history, and they can come and read all about the technology, all about the social and political aspects of what got us to the moon, the logistics of getting this moon. Getting them back is just as hard as getting them there, and then where the space programs have gone since, international space travel, the International Space Station, or we're wanting to go to Mars. What does all that entail? Then obviously you can sit and watch the moon landing firsthand right here in the Aurora History Museum.
On a real TV from 1969, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So are there any additional programming related to space travel or space exploration here at the museum?
Right. We're part of the Library and Cultural Services of the City of Aurora, and our libraries are doing a lot of reading programs associated with the moon landing. Here in the next few weeks, as you want to celebrate the 50th anniversary, next Wednesday, we will be doing a lunch and learn here with yours truly, talking about this exhibit, talking how I put it together, and talking about space travel in general. We're partnering with Wings Over the Rockies Museum and Launchpad Brewery and doing a trivia night the Friday before the anniversary, all about the Apollo programs, and I will again be hosting that along with other staff members, so we're really excited about that.
Well, you're the guy with all the information. Christopher, it's been such a pleasure. Do you think that there's life beyond Earth?
Well, of course, we're not that important, are we?
Oh, you heard it first from this guy. Okay, so keep your TV antennas up. You never know. Well, thank you so much for guiding us through this exhibition. Really interesting.
One Small Step 50 Years Later is on now through July 21st at the Aurora History Museum. The museum is open Tuesdays through Sundays and admission is free. On Wednesday, July 17th at noon, Christopher Shackelford will host Conversation with a Curator at the museum. He'll discuss his design process for the Apollo exhibit and explore all things space travel, past, present, and future. You can find more details on everything going on at the museum this summer at auroramuseum.org.